Okay, there's not a single day that has gone by in the past several months where Justin Trudeau is not the center of some sort of controversy. And today we're taking a look at Elon Musk, who drops a huge bombshell on Justin Trudeau. But before we get into it, folks, I want to encourage you all to smash the like button and subscribe. We're on route to 400,000 subscribers, and liking the videos, subscribing to the channel, and turning post notifications on especially does help push it out so more people can be aware of what is happening. And we're going to be talking about, cover a couple things on the World Economic Forum, but also Justin Trudeau and how much of an incompetent idiot he is, which isn't hard to do. I mean, people can do this daily. I certainly try and do it daily because he's in the news every single day and it just doesn't seem to end. But there's a sticker package, which is 20% off. The link is down in the description or the pinned comment below. You get all 5 of these stickers. Klaus Schwab penetrating Trudeau, which is not a weird play on words. It's something he's actually said. Trudeau on a milk carton. I did not see that coming. And the other 2 as well. So you get all 5 stickers for 20% off for a limited time only. Without further ado, let's get into it. We're going to start off with this meme here of Mr. Schwab loves me more than you. And Trudeau saying, that's not true. You take that back. Next up, we have Wall Street Silver that's posting this video of camping in Toronto. And this is the state of homelessness here. This is brutal. I mean, this is a real thing, and it's happening all across Canada. And I've seen videos of this happening as well as in like Los Angeles, different parts of California. That is insane. This isn't like camping for, parks and stuff. This is homelessness, and it's just gone through the roof through drug opioid crisis and our soft on crime policy. It's horrible. We need some change here. We need some change because Trudeau has absolutely ruined Canada. And if you don't want to hear me say it, at least listen to Pierre Poilievre talk about this. Here we go.
The federal government has said that its online harms bill is imminent. They've said this bill will include, among other things, a ban on so-called online hate speech. As you know, the Conservatives a decade ago repealed Section 13 of the Canadian Human Rights Act, which the Liberals have talked about reintroducing and tried in the last parliamentary term. Will the Conservatives oppose the reintroduction of these provisions and the Liberals' approach to so-called online hate speech?
Yes, we will oppose Justin Trudeau's latest attack on freedom of expression. And I want to ask, what does Justin Trudeau mean when he says the word hate speech? He means speech he hates.
Sticker is linked down in the description.
Example, let's go through some of the things he said is hate speech. Jerry Butts, the PMO puppet master, said that it was hate speech to criticize Trudeau for using the ridiculous term people kind, right? Justin Trudeau said anyone who criticized him during the pandemic was engaging in hate speech. Basically, anybody who disagrees with his radical agenda when it comes to kids, he says is hate speech. He attacked Muslim parents who were protesting against his agenda. Is he going to criminalize those Muslim parents for protecting their children in schools? Go down the list of things that Justin Trudeau disapproves of, and you can imagine all of the things that will be criminalized. Then there becomes the question of who is going to be in charge of determining what is hate speech. Recently, a school board in Ontario banned Anne Frank's books. Okay, so would that be considered hate speech under Justin Trudeau's woke authoritarian agenda? I think it would. So anyone who thinks that speech they don't like is going to be criminalized and therefore the bill should be supported, go through that. Those people should go through the list of their own thoughts that Justin Trudeau considers to be unacceptable views, and you can assume that he will ban all of that as well.
There doesn't seem to be an end to Justin Trudeau's radicalness, and I'm very glad that Pierre Poilievre is now kind of taking a bit more of, I don't want to say an aggressive approach to calling things out, but he's definitely become a lot more bold, especially with recently him as a Conservative leader of Canada, the federal party, but also Danielle Smith, the Conservative Premier of Alberta. They've both almost simultaneously stood up against, gender affirming care and all that stuff, right? Puberty blockers to minors, which is insane because that type of stance is yet to be taken until just very recently by any politician in Canada, any federally elected or provincially elected politician. So it's really awesome, and one could even argue that it's extremely based. And I'm proud. I'm proud of the Conservative Party, and we need more of that because it shouldn't even be an argument about protecting kids and the whole gender ideology. But nonetheless, let's move on here. You have Pierre Poilievre who tweeted out, so Trudeau charges you $1.3 million of tax dollars to hold 3 retreats with his cabinet, complete with steak and seafood, and they make struggling single moms and seniors pay for it. Your money, his entitlement. He's not worth the cost after 8 years. This is a clip of a news article. And then next up, we've got Elon Musk, who's chiming into some of the censorship laws, and then you're going to get to see what he says about Justin Trudeau in a moment. I just typed in a Google query on my phone, and the top 2 choices are pro-censorship. Why censorship and autofilled is important, and why censorship is important in social media. 13.7 million views at the time of this recording. That is absolutely insane, and it's getting worse here in Canada. Canada is becoming one of the most censored countries in the world, obviously aside from North Korea and China, but we're really moving towards that Chinese communist dictatorship, which is why you hear that term so often. And then let's take a look at what Elon Musk has to say about Trudeau. I can't believe Gemini, which is a new AI software for Google, made these unfair pics of Justin Trudeau where he's dressed in culturally appropriating freaking stuff. There he is with his blackface. Yeah, no, this is a real thing. I asked Gemini to generate an image of a famous black Canadian, and this came out. OMG, folks. This is a real thing. This has 34. Let's refresh it. See how many million of 41 million. It has 41 million views at the time of this recording. Elon Musk has been has made some pretty base comments about Justin Trudeau. For those who don't know, Elon Musk has ties to Canada. He went to university at Queen's University here in Canada, and there was reason to believe a lot of people during the Freedom Convoy did a deep dive into liar.com, and I believe that redirects to Justin Trudeau's Wikipedia, and people think that is Elon Musk's doing and that he had some sort of ties to donating to the Freedom Convoy. And I don't know if there's a way to actually prove it, but nonetheless, Elon Musk does not shy away from criticizing Canada's Prime Minister, and he does a massive job of it. I mean, 41 million views. All of Canada, by that means, has the whole population of Canada has seen that tweet, which is very, very impressive. And the next up, speaking of impressive, we have Danielle Smith that says, tonight I'm speaking directly to all Albertans on the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead of our province. Together we will seize this moment and continue on a path of prosperity. Albertans, our families, and our children deserve nothing less. Very, very awesome, well-spoken Premier of Alberta. Let's see what she has to say in this video.
My fellow Albertans, with this year's budget approaching and economists predicting softer oil and natural gas prices this upcoming year, I want to take a moment to share with you how our government intends to manage the provincial budget and finances in the years ahead. Although I'm pleased to report that spending cuts will not be needed to balance this year's budget, lower resource revenues will certainly require us to show more restraint than previously predicted. We will ensure this is done thoughtfully and with priority given to the programs and services Albertans most rely on, such as health, education, and social supports. In addition, promised personal income tax cuts will have to wait a year and be phased in responsibly. As we all know, Alberta is blessed with abundant natural resource wealth. However, the volatile price of oil and gas often has us riding a budget roller coaster from year to year. And trying to predict world oil and gas prices is much like trying to predict the weather during an Alberta spring. I suspect most of you are growing tired of this budget volatility, bouncing between years of plenty and then having to choose between incurring massive debt or cutting key social programs is not the recurring story Albertans want to see time and again. It is time for our province to implement a long-term strategic financial plan that gets us to a stable, balanced budget each and every year, with predictable and stable revenues to fund our core social programs. And that long-term plan is what I wish to talk with you about tonight. Alberta has one of the largest deposits of oil and natural gas on the planet. Through Albertans' ingenuity, hard work, and entrepreneurship, coupled with the foresight of thoughtful provincial leaders including Ernest Manning, Peter Lougheed, and Ralph Klein, our province has built itself up from humble prairie beginnings into an energy superpower with one of the most successful and growingly diverse economies in the world. In fact, that economic vitality has driven growth and opportunity right across the entire country.
I swear to God, if I get 1,000 likes, or sorry, not 1,000 likes, if I get 1,000 comments on this video that says, hey, Sunshine, you and your family should move to Alberta, we will pack things up yesterday and leave. Or if we get like 10,000 likes on this video, man, I'm so sick of every other province. I'm currently in BC. I'm so sick of every other province that this country has to offer. Alberta seems to be the hub. It seems to be the place to be. That's why in America, you see a lot of people relocating to like things like places like Texas, right? Like Joe Rogan is one of the biggest people, and Elon Musk are one of the biggest peoples, two of the biggest peoples, people kind, and according to Trudeau, people kind, two of the biggest people kind individuals to relocate to Texas because of their policies and how they manage their state. And that seems to be Alberta, right? Protecting minors. Alberta is the only province that has banned gender affirming care for minors, which is incredible. I mean, they're doing a lot. They have an amazing environment, renewable energy sector, right? They're doing awesome things with gas and oil and with solar, and just, they're pounding the shit out of every other province, economically speaking. It's a powerhouse. Albertans are actually proud of their province and the country. I'm not saying if you're living in another province, you're not proud of your province or your town or your country, but come on, man. We all know Alberta is Alberta. There ain't another place that's comparable to Alberta.
We have used the fruits of our vast resources to build a province of almost 5 million people with world-class cities, parks, transportation networks, schools, health facilities, and other social infrastructure. And we have established a strategic tax advantage that we are using to further attract investment and diversify our economy. We're doing a lot right, and we have much to be proud of. But as a province, we've also made mistakes, and we need to correct course now while we still have time. Bluntly stated, our province has become unsustainably dependent on non-renewable resource revenues. As an example, in Budget 2023, our province required about $16 billion of resource royalties just to balance our roughly $70 billion provincial budget. Thankfully, we had a good year and will collect enough resource revenues to cover that $16 billion, with a few billion left over to pay towards our provincial debt and savings for the future. That said, we simply cannot continue to rely on $16 billion or more in resource revenues to balance our budget year in and out. That is a recipe for massive debt and cuts to health and education when the price of oil takes a dip for a year or two or more. It is not sustainable. Some say the answer is higher income taxes or a sales tax. I reject this. We only need to look at some of our fellow provinces and many U.S. states to know that increasing these kinds of taxes to balance a budget is a recipe for economic decline. That will not be the approach of our government. Let me propose an alternative solution. Peter Lougheed had the foresight to create what is today commonly called the Alberta Heritage Fund. The initial purpose of this fund was to invest a portion of Alberta's non-renewable resource revenues each year, so the investment income earned on the fund would eventually grow large enough to eliminate our province's reliance on resource revenues when they ultimately declined. Turns out that vision was well ahead of its time. In fact, several countries, such as Norway and many other oil and gas producing nations around the world, adopted that same strategy, and now boast sovereign wealth funds large enough to entirely eliminate their nation's reliance on resource revenues. In fact, these nations now earn enough each year in their funds to make massive investments in world-class infrastructure and other public benefits that were not previously possible. In Alberta, if we had just reinvested the income earned in our Heritage Fund from the Lougheed government's initial deposits of about $12 billion in the late 70s and early 80s, even without investing another extra dollar, our Heritage Fund would be worth over $250 billion today, earning between $12 and $25 billion per year in revenue. This means we would have been earning enough interest today to make us entirely unreliant on resource revenues. But for a variety of reasons from both within and without Alberta, we did not do this as a province. Of course, now's not the time for us to bemoan what might have been. In my view, the time has come to act decisively and end any further procrastination. Last year, our government passed a law mandating that all income earned in the Alberta Heritage Fund must be invested in the fund rather than spent. During the current budget year, we hope to invest and reinvest approximately $3 billion of surplus and investment income back into the Heritage Fund, increasing its value to almost $25 billion. That's up from $17 billion just a couple of years ago. This puts us back on the right track. In addition, I have instructed our finance minister to limit government spending to below the legislated rate cap of inflation plus population growth, not just during lean years with lower oil prices as we expect next year, but also in years when high oil and natural gas prices result in billions of surplus provincial dollars. Instead of spending all that non-renewable surplus cash on the wants of today, we will be fiscally disciplined, invest in the Heritage Fund annually, strategically pay down maturing debt, and slowly but surely wean our province's budget off the volatile roller coaster of resource revenues. In my view, our province has one last shot at getting this right. We still have several decades during this global energy transition where nations will desperately need our oil and gas resources for their people, and we will provide it to them with the most advanced environmental technology on Earth. So despite this coming year's predicted global economic slowdown, I believe our province is on the cusp of an unprecedented and prolonged energy resource boom, one that will include both hundreds of billions in investment and tens of thousands of new jobs, not only in oil and gas production, but also in designing and building the most advanced emission reduction technologies on Earth. It is going to be an exciting time for our province and for Canada, especially once we finally get a federal government that acts like a strategic partner rather than a delusional adversary. Prior to the end of this year, our government will publicly release a long-term financial plan charting a path to a heritage fund of between $250 and $400 billion by the year 2050. 2050 is also our target for achieving a carbon-neutral economy. Meeting these two goals simultaneously with Alberta technology, determination, and ingenuity will leave an invaluable legacy for future generations of Albertans and Canadians. There is no doubt in my mind we are capable of achieving these goals, but we need to start today and stick with it fervently, year after year. I ask for your support as our government commits itself to placing our province on this path to prosperity that will last long after our last barrel of oil has been produced. We, our children, and their children deserve nothing less. Thank you, good night, and may Alberta remain forever strong and free.
Holy shit, that is convincing as all hell. And that's pretty awesome that they have a 2050 goal, whereas the WEF and the federal government seem to be trying to push things by 2030. Yeah, it's a big difference. Let's take a look at what Pierre Poilievre has to say. To end the video off, today, one of Canada's most notorious serial killers, Robert Pickton, has become eligible for parole. Monsters like this should never be released from prison. Common sense conservatives believe that mass murderers should face consecutive sentences, so they only come out of jail in a box. That is a bold thing to say, buddy, and I don't think a single person with common sense is going to argue that. That's where we're going to end today's video, folks. Hope it was informative. Hope you walk away with a little bit of knowledge or something that you didn't know prior, hadn't seen prior. If you enjoyed the video, I'd encourage you guys to smash the like button and subscribe, and I'd hope you'd also consider turning post notifications on so you can actually be notified of upcoming videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.